I heard they mad, I deserve to brag. I'm in my bottom line Birkin bag, and I ain't trying to waste a whole lot of time with this rhyme. But after this, we getting straight to the bottom line.
All right, welcome back to The Expensive Truth with Bottom Line Burke. I'm so excited. Actually, the whole genesis of even why I wanted to create a platform like this was to engage into conversations that I have the privilege to have today. I have BC royalty Troy Bell, one of the top 25 greatest athletes to ever come out of Boston College, and also I have one of my dear coaches that from afar that I think that didn't get his proper just due, but is one of the greatest coaches to come out of Boston College as well. Definitely one of the greatest basketball minds at the collegiate level that I've ever witnessed, and he has led countless Boston College basketball players to greener pastures, whether that's playing abroad or at the professional level. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome Coach Al Skinner to the program. How you doing, Coach?
Just fine. How are you today?
I'm good.
That was a pretty long introduction for a short career. I just want you to know that.
I don't know. I respectfully disagree, man. We talking about what you coached for 13 years in total. Over 800 games, and I know during your time at BC, you had a winning percentage of 60%, which put you in elite company. So that's why it's something that I feel like it's an honor to talk to you today, because during your time there, that's all BC was doing was winning. Going to the dance, every year. So that's something that cannot be glossed upon, especially since, let's just be frank, since you did leave, they haven't been there yet. And so I just wanted to make sure that my audience knows that you did an outstanding job during your entire time there. You impacted so many lives, raised so many boys to men, and not just in basketball, just I played football, and I was on it. Every interaction with you meant something, and so without further ado, I just wanted to give you your flowers, Coach, man. You did a great job.
Well,
there.
No, well, thank you for that. I mean, yeah, there's no question that we had our share of success, but like Troy's freshman year, I'm not sure if he saw the light at the end of the tunnel, because my man was a little hesitant about what the future held for him. But a credit to him, he hung in there. He continued to improve himself along with his teammates, and we were able to turn it around. And obviously, we accomplished something that's never been accomplished in the Big East, and probably very seldom in college basketball, is going from last place to first place and just dominating the league. That following year, when Troy was a sophomore, he became Player of the Year in the Big East. And so it was a tremendous turnaround. But like I said, Troy's freshman year, I'm not sure if he would have believed all of that.
I love you. Bye. Bye. I love you. We gotta get them kids out of there so we can do something, because with the kids here, it's tough. But no, like Coach Skinner said, my freshman year, it was challenging. But I think one of the reasons it was so challenging, Coach, is because we should have been at least a 500 team. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way we should have lost all those games. I think about how many games we had close, but we just didn't really know how to close games back then. I think that was the most frustrating part, was that I just believe we were better than the record that we showed. Beating teams like Michigan, like we beat some good teams. We just were kind of falling apart at the end. But one thing that I loved about Coach's style was his toughness. And I know he showed that as a player, and I learned a lot more about that as I got older. Who he was as a player, but I felt like he had a toughness about him that just rubbed off on the teams. and that was just one of the hugest things that I really grew to love about Coach. Because after playing for other coaches, like as a pro, you see the difference in the mentality of men and how they lead men. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm very thankful that we all stuck around. I'm thankful for the man that he is, the man that he was, just the toughness that he instilled, the consistency in his personality, so many traits about him. Obviously I appreciated while I was there. I've always tried to be the kind of person that could appreciate what was happening while it's happening, but also too, as I got to meet other coaches and experience other situations, it made me appreciate him even more as a coach and as a person, as a man, just because, you know, you're interacting with guys every day. So, you know, it's not just the coach player relationship. It's also how he carries himself as a man, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
But see, let me just say one more thing to that. The most important thing for me was to present a situation for my guys. I couldn't help everyone, but I could help those that became within my reach. And I just had a vision for each guy, and I wanted him to be as successful as he possibly could, both on and off the floor. It wasn't just basketball. It really was trying to prepare themselves for what their future was going to be. But that foundation that they could lay at that time was extremely important. And one of the things I really tried to emphasize is guys maintaining their reputations, because so many people remember you because of the stage that you play on. They watch you, and they just feel that they know you, but they know you by your actions, by what you do on the floor. It may not be who you are, but that's what they pay attention to. So my point is that I always try to emphasize guys to take care of their reputations. I thought that was probably one of the most valuable assets as a young person, because as we find out today, particularly through social media, unfortunately, some people don't handle themselves very well. I mean, there was a young lady that's 27 years old. She wrote a comment when she was 17. She was the editor of Teen Vogue magazine, and they just let her go for a comment that she wrote, a racist comment that we don't agree with. But at 17, are you kidding me? But this is what social media can do for you. So even back then, I was very, very conscious of a guy's reputation and the way he handled himself, the way he handled his business, and trying to really prepare him for what the future held for him.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And can you elaborate when you say you was trying to help the players within your reach? What exactly did you mean by that, Coach? Because I think that was valuable what you just said.
Well, it meant that, I couldn't help everyone. I mean, if I didn't see you every day, if I didn't have you every day, then I could offer some advice, but to actually help you, as Troy said, I needed to be around you. I need to feel you. I need to know who you were so that I could, so I could impact. If you needed me to impact, if you didn't need me, I'm okay with that too. That's not a problem. But the thing is that so that's what I mean when I say those within my reach. It had to be people that I saw on a daily basis, because when I vouch for someone, believe me, my word is probably one of the most important things to me. Like my dad taught me, a handshake is as good as signing a contract. Once you shake my hand on the deal, it's done. So, and I'm not looking to go back on that. So when I give my assessment, when I give my evaluation, when I give my critique, or when I offer my opinion about a young person, about someone that I know, I'm gonna stand behind it, and I'm gonna stand behind him, and I'm gonna reinforce how strongly I feel about that person. But that comes from me knowing him. Now, I'm not saying we're all perfect. I'm not. The people I recommend are not, but I can assure you that their character will stand up to whatever critique that you may have.
No, absolutely. And without question, I'm just watching you, and I love how you're beaming and gushing almost over Troy as the man that he's evolved into to be today versus when you first recruited him. And I just was curious, when you did go to Minnesota, back with that 1998, 99, somewhere around there, what was it about Troy that attracted to you to recruit him, given that there wasn't a lot of exposure where he was particularly at? But what was it about his game or about his character that you mentioned that made him stand out?
Well, first of all, obviously it was about his basketball ability.
Yeah.
I didn't know what kind of character he was, what kind of person he was going to be. But what his basketball ability offered. And that is what opened the door. I mean, even for me as a player, it was my basketball ability. So that opened the door. So I'm watching him and I'm saying to myself, there's a place for him on my team, more than a place. He can be, for what my needs were at that particular time and the way I wanted to play the game, he was a great fit. But I could see it. Matter of fact, I'm not sure if Troy saw it because he could not see it, the whole picture, what it was. I saw it. It was just a matter of how long it was going to take for him to mature into that position. But that being said, it was his athleticism, his quickness, and ability for him to shoot the ball. I was really startled at how fast he was, how quick he was, and how well he shot it. Because most guys that athletic, that quick, that fast don't shoot it that well.
Correct.
And his shot wasn't the rotation on the ball. There was no rotation. So I got a real problem with this. So I'm watching, and I watched intently because his game is not conventional. I'm okay with unconventional because I was as a player, but his game was unconventional. His shot was unconventional because, again, no rotation on the ball. Is this legit? In my opinion, I'm watching, and it's legit. It keeps going in, keeps going in. He keeps running past people. He's running. He's doing this. He can basically only go right, but I'm okay with that for now because he's so goddamn fast. So, okay. So here we are. So we're moving on. So now we get to the home, and I meet his mom and dad. Now he's coming from a good family. He's going to a good school. And I'm saying, okay, I think this is a young person that can handle the responsibility of being a leader on my team. I'm not saying he's ready for that, but he's coming from a solid background. Mom and dad are there, very supportive. Maybe a little spoiled because he's the only child, but I'm okay with that too. But all that being said, the makings were there. Now it's up to me to kind of shape it a little bit and see what we can do moving forward. And there was also a sense of pride within himself, a certain confidence within himself that was extremely, extremely important for me, because the role that we were going to ask him to be part of, there's a lot of people don't realize this. There's a lot of responsibility to being the star, right, and getting a lot of exposure. Everyone's counting on you, your teammates, your coaches, the community, and you got to be able to handle all of that. It doesn't come as easily as people like to think. We've seen a lot of people falter under that light.
Oh, no question. And real quick too, Coach, who else is counting on him? The ticket office, right? Because I remember the year before Troy got there, literally outside of the library, they was giving them away. They was giving the tickets away by the bundle, right? Then all of a sudden Troy comes. I had to go back to my one dedicated ticket because I'm an athlete. I said, who is this guy? Then when I seen him play, I said, okay, I get it. He's box office. I definitely get it. I get it.
But Bert, hey, Coach, what's funny though is when y'all was in the living room, Coach O'Shea told us that X was gonna save the program, and X is my guy. So really, what I was thinking was, because X transferred from Howard, Burke, and he was averaging and he was averaging 20 a game at Howard. So Coach O'Shea was like, yeah, Bell can just come in and be a piece. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, we got this dude. So when I came there, I wasn't actually planning on any of that. I mean, I planned on doing well, but my initial thought was, okay, we got this dude, 6'6", he could really shoot it. I just planned on being just another guy to help push the envelope.
But and the funny thing about this is what I'm saying. And I always try to tell players this: you don't make the decision. I do as a coach. and guys think, well, they're in control. No, you're not in control. I'm in control. I'm the one who dictates what happens. And so I hear so many guys, oh, I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna do this. You only can work as hard and you only can be as good as I want you to be. And it's not, and that's the responsibility of all coaches. I mean, Troy, you really learn that at the professional level. You know, like when you had Hubie as a coach, unfortunately, I was feeling very strongly. I think I told you that he's he's a conventional guy. He's not going to allow you to do the things that I allowed you to do, even though I think you were more than capable of doing that at that level. But because of who he was, I didn't think that you were going to be allowed to do that. And the real reason I told you that was because I wanted you to be prepared. I didn't want you to be disappointed and get discouraged. I wanted you to I'm not saying you would have been, but I wanted to be sure that I offered you again all the advice, all the insight that I could, because I knew Hubie, because I played when I played, he was coaching, and I knew him for a long time.
Right. And it was funny because it was the first day of summer league practice. We were doing a little warm-up jog before we even stretched, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he's just like, "You're not at Boston College anymore, Bell." I was like, and summer league was like 20 guys in the gym. And he decided to yell at me. I swear, in my mind, I was like, I gotta call Duffy. Man, that's my agent. I gotta call Duffy, man. This shit ain't gonna work. That's what I was thinking to myself. You know what I mean? But and honestly, if I wouldn't have had that third knee surgery, I still could have figured it out. But with him and the surgeries, it was rough.
Yeah. No, I can understand that. But again, we did put together a nice team, a very different team than because we were small, we were quick, we pressed, we chased, and guys really bought in, and that's why it really turned around. That your freshman year, there was a lot of bumps and bruises and falling down. And I remember one game you had 10 turnovers. I was like, you got to get better. You did a lot of running that next day. But
yeah, I remember that game because I think it was UMass. I think I had
it was UMass. And you had 10 turnovers, and you did a lot of running that next day, but you never had 10 turnovers or 5 turnovers.
No. But I'm gonna tell you what's crazy though, Coach. That same game, I remember Shannon Crooks had grabbed my jersey. Yeah. And he ripped my chest in 2 spots, Burke. I was bleeding through my jersey.
I played against Shannon. I know what you're talking about. He was
he played hard.
Yep.
But my thing is this though, bro. They didn't call no foul. I'm bleeding on both sides of my chest because he's grabbing me. So yeah, I had turnovers, but they was helping with some fouls. But the refs wasn't doing nothing about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Coach, let me ask you this, because you've recruited a hell of a list of players that, like you said, dominate, quite frankly. You know what I mean? You got Craig Smith, you got Reggie Jackson, you got Jared Dudley, you know what I mean? Ken Bones, Kenny Walls. You got Ryan Sidney, who was a dog, and in my opinion, I think him and Troy Bell is arguably the best backcourt in Big East history. That's right, Big East history. When you go to recruit high school athletes, Coach, what is it that you look for? Is it you already know what piece that you have in mind? Like you said, you know what type of style of basketball you want to play for your team. Do you know the ingredients when you're looking for high school players, or is it when you see it?
I know what I'm looking for, and it depends on what my needs are. So then sometimes sometimes it's just a kid I just can't turn down. To give an example, like I wasn't overly sold on Jermaine
Boston product,
not really.
Boston product, okay.
And I'm not overly sold, but I watch him. I continue to watch him play. You know what? He competes. He may not be, again, another unconventional guy, but he competes, tough. He ain't afraid. See that the confidence that a guy plays with, I can see it, and I can feel it. And when I feel that, then I'll be like, I can work with that. I can work with that. And for Jermaine, I felt that way about him. And sure enough, not the best player by no means, but loves to win, would play hard to win, and would challenge his teammates to win. I remember once we were in practice, and I don't know, maybe Craig I don't know what he was doing, maybe he wasn't playing hard enough, something happened. Yeah. And so Jermaine starts yelling at him, "You're supposed to be the All-American, you're supposed to be doing this, you're supposed to be doing that." because he knows that, okay, I'm not that good, but you're supposed to be that good. You got to bring it. I mean, he wasn't afraid. You know, he wanted to win. He knew what it took. He was willing to compete. I mean, I just love the kid for the way he competed and the way he played, and couldn't make a shot outside of 10 feet.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
you know, but he did make 1 3. He made 1 3 in the NCAA tournament. But other than that, you know, he couldn't make a shot outside of 10 feet. But again, you know, he knew what he could do and what he brought to the table. And again, that toughness, that attitude, it just goes throughout your whole team, and everybody kind of buys in. And that's, you know, and they were all like that. I mean, we had some guys that mentally was not afraid and not intimidated by anyone. Sometimes a little overconfidence, but you know, but I'd rather have that than going the other way.
Yeah. Troy,
Hey, but to his defense though, Jermaine was shooting at 3 decent by the time he was like a senior though. Jermaine, I'm gonna hold you down, man. I'm gonna hold you down.
Yeah, no, Jermaine, it's funny because I remember him coming. He was a junior in high school. He came to Brockton High. He came to Brockton. He was playing at the Boys and Girls Club in like an AAU tournament. His handles was out of control. Oh, that crossover. Oh, man, it was so tight and quick. But like you said, he couldn't shoot. But I remember that toughness when a fight broke out. He was the first in line first on the line of defense for his teammates, and I'll leave it there. But it sounds like, Coach, you like confident players, you like tough players, you like players that are committed to the game, that love basketball, and more importantly, you know, they want to be good teammates. Is that accurate?
I mean, yes, but there's some ability there. You know, right. That's what they have to have. Like Troy had the athleticism, had the quickness, you know, had the shot, you know, so that ability was there. It was now those other things. Now that's what's going to allow you to rise up and compete and win in the Big East and the ACC. Okay. See, that's so there is. I have to see, because there are guys that are talented and skilled, but to be honest, they're soft, and I struggle with that. Just as a person, as a coach, as a former player, I struggle with that. Now, I'd rather take a less talented kid that doesn't score a lot, but has some toughness, is willing to, you know, are not afraid of the moment, and you know, like Nate Dornicamp, not the most talented guy, but is tough, is not afraid of anybody, is not backing down, is willing to give you all that he has. See, once you give, you know, that, and that's all I can ask for from you is your best. Now, if I have assessed in my evaluation that you belong at Boston College, University of Rhode Island, Kennesaw State, if I've evaluated that you should be here, then I got to give you an opportunity to perform. But and so if you have limited ability or scoring ability, that's fine. There's a reason that I chose you. I got to give you a chance to demonstrate that. When I was at URI, that's what I had. I had guys who had some talent, had some ability, but the same characteristic that Troy Bell's team showed at University of Rhode Island. Because I guess that's who I am. That's what I lean towards.
That's what I was going to get to, because I know you played at the famous Rutgers playground where the best of the best play there. And if you don't got confidence and you don't got no toughness, you're gonna get ran off the court.
No question.
What I mean? Or maybe ran out the city. Is that why if you find it difficult when players are not giving it all, or if they're soft, that it's not you can't relate to that?
Yeah, I mean, I just find it, you know, like playing uptown at the Rutgers tournament. When you talk about that, now you're playing against everybody. You know, the referees, but I mean, it's street ball at the highest level. And so if you're a punk, they're gonna know.
Yeah.
You know, they're gonna know because they're gonna bring it.
Yeah.
And they're gonna come at you hard. They're coming at you aggressively, and then on top of that, they're talking trash. So are you gonna back down? What are you gonna do? How are you gonna handle it? I mean, you know, a kid like Kenny Hawley that played with Troy. Yeah. Troy knows this. He's not the most talented guy by no means.
Right.
He continued to get better. He worked hard. He wasn't afraid. I mean, he ain't taking no mess from nobody. I mean, it was just, and so because of that, and he worked on his game. He continued. He wanted to compete. He wanted to get better. And by his senior year, I mean, he was like third leading rebounder, second in assists, third leading scorer. Just this all-around guy that did everything, played tough defense, no backing down, you know, wanted to win. I mean, it took him 4 years to get there. Troy didn't go through all the tough times. Kenny went through all the tough times.
Yeah.
But by his senior year and his attitude, you know, I remember once we lost to Notre Dame. We're 20-0. We lost to Notre Dame because Ryan Sidney decided to gamble on a reach-in and missed it. And the kid pulled up and shot it and scored, and we lost. Kenny went in the locker. Kenny went in the locker room, was yelling at him, and of course Ryan don't want to back down.
He ain't backing down, no.
And so Kenny's going at it. Ryan's going at it. Kenny's yelling, "And Coach told you not to do this, Coach." And he, you know, I can hear the buildup in him. And now we're getting ready to get a confrontation between one of my two strongest players. Right. So I had to send Bonzi and said, "Bonzi, man, do me a favor, separate that mess for me." And he took care of that business. But that's the kind of person that Kenny Hawley was. That was what our team was about. We was a certain toughness. And even though Troy was from Minnesota, he demonstrated some of that. Even though it was not always physical, but mentally he had that toughness.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny too, because I can genuinely say too, like Harley really wanted to win like 100%. Like he would sacrifice, he would do whatever he had to do to try to win. And I think, I mean, not only was he there my freshman year, we had that really down year, but like Coach said, he was there for a lot of tough situations. So I think by the time he got the opportunity to actually get some wins and get on top, he just was not about to just let it slip away. And I remember that play against Notre Dame. It was tough, man, because we would have won for sure.
Yeah, we would have won.
You know, it was tough, but sometimes you got things like that have to happen so you can learn. And
yeah,
I do believe that I would have rather learned winning the game and then talking about it later. But that's not usually how, you know, learning works. But I do believe that moment helped Ryan moving forward.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, because Ryan was just a freshman. Yeah. You know, he kind of thought he knew. Yeah. You know, and he had, you know, let's face it, we have been playing well. We had done some good things. So it's and the way he's defensive minded, tremendous confidence in his ability to defend. Yeah. And he made the effort. Yeah. But again, Kenny knew, like, all we had to do was stay solid, and we'd have been okay.
They would have never scored. He would have never scored on any of us one-on-one.
Right. Exactly right. Right.
And we win.
But Kenny had been through it.
Yeah.
Ryan had not. And that's what I'm saying. When you just experience success, you know, sometimes those mistakes happen. But again, you know, those things happen. We didn't lose anything because of that. I mean, we lost the game, but we learned from it, and we, like you said, we became a better team because of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like ignorance is bliss, right? But I remember, you know, it was probably, I don't know, 5, 6 in the morning when I lived in New York, and I was in Harlem actually, and I ran into, you know, Kenny Hawley just whimsically.
Yeah.
And you know, he comes from a tough neighborhoods, and the question I have for you, Coach, is that a lot of the players come from tough neighborhoods or challenging circumstances, which, you know, they hold on dear to their aspirations of playing professional basketball. Now, is that something you're mindful of? And if so, do you feel like you have to show the responsibility if they have the skill set, and you clearly know if they have it, helping them get to, you know, the NBA or play overseas or anything like that? Are you conscious of that?
Very conscious of it. How could I not be? I mean, because that individual is who I was. I had aspirations to play at the highest level. And you know, it wasn't even so much the highest level. I just always wanted to compete against the best and see where I measured up. And that being said, if I continue to meet that, meaning playing with the best or against the best and holding my own against the best, then eventually I would get to that goal. No, I'm very mindful of that. But that being said, there's a road that's paved, and you got to travel that road. If you don't travel that road and you think there's a shortcut, then you're not going to meet your destination. And there's a lot that goes into it. You got to be blessed with good health. You got to be blessed with a good environment. You got to be blessed with, you know, with people supporting you without there being a lot of distractions. Because I had a player, and I won't mention him by name, but he had a problem with his girlfriend, and she had a baby, and it wasn't his baby. It was somebody else's, but he thought it was his, and it became a distraction for him. And the whole thing was very disturbing to him. And he had not a terrible year, but not the kind of year that he could have had. I don't think he got to the highest level as far as the NBA is concerned. I think he came up a little short. And why is that? It wasn't about his ability. It wasn't about his health. It's because he had a distraction that consumed him. Troy was very fortunate. He was blessed that he didn't have that distraction, at least to my knowledge, to the point that it became an issue for him. So those things collectively is what it takes for a young person to ascend, unless you just have tremendous talent. But the individuals that I'm talking about, the players that I have, they don't have those talents. They got to continue to work. They got to continue to get better. They got to continue to improve. So yes, I am very conscious of that, of laying that groundwork for them. But in saying that, I'm also realistic about whether they can and can't. And I try to explain to young people, everybody talks about being a pro, and everybody thinks it's about scoring. And there's some truth to that. I'm not going to deny that. But my point is, what you do, can you do it against everybody and anybody and every night? See, one of the things about Troy Bell, why his stock went up as high as it did when it was his senior year, is because he consistently demonstrated that he could do what he did night in, night out for 4 years. You know what? That's a pro. Like for me, I could defend anybody from a 1 to a 2 to a 3 to a 4. That was my strength. And then I could handle the ball and score and create against anybody. Being a New York City basketball player, that was my thing. Breaking people down, creating an offense. That's what I did. And then I could defend on the other end. My point is that
you was a guard?
I was a guard. I played point guard. I played 2 guard. My best position was probably 2 in the pros. But in college, I played 1, 2, 3, and 4. In high school, I was a center. So, it is what it is. But my point is that, whatever it is that you do well, you got to be able to do against everybody night in and night out. Like Jared Dudley, like if you look at him, you're like, damn, man, how does he do it? Well, he just has a certain determination that, like he's going to do some things and he's going to put himself in a position to be successful, whether it's making a play, whether it's defensively. For as slow as he is, he defends fairly well. Why? Because he understands angles. He rebounds the ball. He puts himself in position to rebound. He'll make an open shot. Mentally, again, some toughness there. So he's consistent with his effort and what he does. And my point is that, and that's why he was able to play at the highest level. And that's the hardest thing to do, is to get guys to understand, can you do this every night against everyone you compete against? And if you can, and you have some success, because winning is important in this business. You can't do it on a losing team, because then they don't give you any credit. So it's a combination. Believe me, if we didn't win in the Big East, Troy would have never been in the position that he was in. But because we won, people had to take a look, had to take a hard look. And I mean, at that point in time, I knew he was going to get drafted because he was playing for me. People knew who I was. So that wasn't even an issue. I knew that. I'm not sure if he knew that.
From that stoop down to Lenox, my mama argued with me for like 200 minutes, drinking brews till I'm finished. To the news, them interviews, they knew my position. I could lie for free, but that truth is expensive. So visit my site, yo, get an insight. What my living was like was bigger than life. Different women spending the night, no children in sight. I got fed up, but kept my head up like I'm willing to bite. My life doing bike tricks, touchdowns for Mike Vick. Stop on a dime and split right soon as your eye twitch. I was quite quick, not many was like this, waxing them like like a candle, I guess I was quite lit. I heard they mad, I deserve to brag. I'm in my bottom line Birkin bag, and I ain't trying to waste a whole lot of time with this rhyme. But after this, we getting straight to the bottom line.